Yeah, so the purpose of recording it is so that the people that couldn't make it, any of the volunteers that couldn't make it, can now at least hear part of the conversation or all of it, should they choose. And it just kind of gets the word out there more than what we have just on the call itself. So I guess I want to start off and just say, welcome, Petsmart volunteers. It's nice to get everybody together as a group. A little hard to try and catch up and see who's who and put a face to a name or a name to a face. It's been an honor to have I guess, the ability to support furry friends with PetSmart. So I thank Susan and Nicole and Carly for this opportunity. I guess we learn as we grow. Each cycle gets better, but I will tell you it's been an absolute pleasure meeting up with everybody. And I've sent out the agenda, so we'll follow it to the best of our ability. We have a couple things that we've had to make some minor adjustments with. So we're just going to start off, and we'll go around and introduce yourself. Just state your name, how long you've been a volunteer with Furry Friends PetSmart, and if you have any animals, if so, how many? And if not, then choose to talk about something else. Okay, we'll start with, go ahead, Sherry, you can start.
Perfect. Hi there. So I'm Sherry. I have been volunteering with Furry Friends for, I think, 15 years, and I currently have 3 cats. I'm down like 60%. I'm down to 3 cats.
Down today.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. And shall I pass it on next?
Yep, you go right ahead. You pass that.
So Sally.
Hi, I'm Sally. I've been with Furry Friends PetSmart for a year and a half. I often try and bring my 15-year-old daughter too, Olivia. I have a little black dog and 2 Furry Friends cats. We adopted Marbles and Noah.
Very good. You get to pass it, Mel.
I passed to Kelsey.
Oh. Well, thanks, Mel. I appreciate that. I'm Kathy. I've been with Furry Friends for just over a year and a half. I came from McDonald's originally. I have 2 dogs, rescues, and 2 cats. One's a rescue. I have Gus from the shelter. He was up in the med room. And then I have my sister's cat that passed away. We ended up getting her as a kitten. So that's what I have. And I will pass it to Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I am the volunteer coordinator with Furry Friends. So any of you who have been recruited over the past couple of years, we've probably talked on the phone, probably not met face to face. I'm also on the board, and I have a Wednesday evening shift in the med room. And I have 2 kitties from Furry Friends in my house.
And you get to pass it, Katie.
Oh, Suzanne.
Hey, hi, I'm Suzanne. I think I've been with Furry Friends for about 7 years. And I have 8 cats, 7 from Furry Friends, yes. And I'm a foster failed many times over. And because I just can't I can't give them up, as Susan knows. I'm primarily in the bedroom, but then I volunteer everywhere else too. So that's it. And I will pass it to Natasha.
So I'm Natasha. I have been volunteering with Furry Friends probably about a year now. I started off doing just follow-up volunteer calls. Now I'm actually at PetSmart. I do the Monday shift, and I'm volunteering to do vet runs. And I usually do the morning ones, and barring one adventure, it's gone fairly smoothly. I have 3 cats, a dog. There's 2 guinea pigs and a bunny who live in my house. And then one of my cats was a barn cat, and then 2 of them are rescues. So this one right here is my little soul cat. And then
Oh,
she's got a one-eyed brother. And yeah, so because of these two is what ignited my passion in wanting to help cats a little bit more. So I'm happy to
Great.
be here.
Good. You get to pick.
Oh yeah, I do. Sorry. I will pass it over to Carly.
Hello, I'm Carly. I've been with Furry Friends about 3 years now. I am at the shelter was where I primarily started, but I am into everything. I've been taking the cats to PetSmart on fill-in days for quite some time now. But I'm kind of all over the place when I'm at the shelter. I do a little bit of everything. But yeah, I've got 4 cats and 1 dog. 2 of my cats are Furry Friends cats, which I adore. But yeah, that's about that for me.
Good.
And I think I will pass it to Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. I've been with Furry Friends since 2019, and I have 2 dogs and 1 cat. And then I'll pass it on to Kelsey.
Thanks. I'm Kelsey. I've been with Furry Friends for a month or 2 now, so I think I might be the newest one here. And I have 1 cat. Her name is Mango, and she's about 6 months.
Oh,
Thanks.
And I'll pass it on to Melanie. I think she's the last one.
No, Sue as well.
Oh, good. I know who to pass mine to. I don't have a list. So I'm Melanie. I've been with Furry Friends, I'm going to say 5 years. I started as a foster back in 2019. So I've had many, 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 many cats come through my home. I've lost count after 40.
Wow.
But if I pick up my books, I'm sure I'll get an exact number. I started doing just scooping litter boxes and feeding. I did a couple shifts in the med room, and then they asked me to do PetSmart, so that's what I do now. I do 2 Sundays a month. My shift is noon till 2, sometimes noon till 3, or wherever. If I'm needed, I can stay longer. And I also volunteer with Feline Fix, and that's how actually I got introduced to Furry Friends. So I volunteer for both.
Nice. And who are you passing it on to?
Let me see. I think Sue.
Hi, I'm Susan. I've been with Furry Friends. It'll be 10 years in February. I am currently the president of Furry Friends. I am the foster coordinator.
And
I wear many hats at Furry Friends. I currently have 2 of my own cats. I have 2 fosters at the moment, and I have 2 dogs as well.
nice.
And I'm at PetSmart. I'm stepped away a little bit from PetSmart, but we'll be there for adopt-a-thons and big events. So
We have a friend that joined us. Okay, so I think we've got everybody. Is that correct?
Mhm.
I think so, yes. Okay, so we'll start. We had a open house on Sunday, and I just kind of wanted to explain some of it. So those that are new to PetSmart, there is a correlation between the shelter and PetSmart. And if you haven't been to the shelter, I highly recommend it. It's where it all begins. It's where the cat's journey begins. And by doing PetSmart, it's where the cat's journey ends with us, but begins with a new forever home. So it is it's quite interesting to see the dynamics of how, and I call it a wheel because coming from my background, there's always a spoke that attaches everything together. So Furry Friends is one thing, but each of you mentioned many different things. There's a lot of different spokes that are in play here. And you have vet runs in order to get the cats ready, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But in order to get them ready, they need to go see a vet. In order to go see a vet, they need a vet run. So you have to have a runner that goes. In order to get them to PetSmart, you need runners. In order to, as the cats come in, their intake. So there's many different people that play different roles, and it's how it starts off is when they call in to surrender the cat, then the cats go into care, which anybody working at the shelter has that ability in the first-hand touch with many of these cats. Some end up being healthy and staying on the main floor. Some go up to the med room. So there's a different journey each cat will take and a different length of time. So it's quite interesting to see the history of some of the cats, like him. But just to see that journey of where where they started with us and, how they end and what's the next step for them. So if you haven't had an opportunity to get into the shelter, let us know. Send me a text and we will definitely get you a tour of the shelter, because that's important for you to see that part of it, of how it all starts. And then, where your job ties in at PetSmart, how important those positions are prior to the actual cat getting there. Make sense? Okay. So, we're going to talk about the adoption talking points. It's a piece of paper that we have at the PetSmart. I'm going to get Sherry to start it, and then Carly's going to finish it off. And it'll kind of give you a little bit more of an insight. So if you haven't seen these, I hope you have through your training, because that's important. That's there. I can get. So I'll get Sherry to take it off if you don't mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks, Kathy. I know that you included the talking points as part of your email blast. Just looking at folks on this call, I mean, I think with the exception of Kelsey, a lot of us have been longer at PetSmart. And I wonder like if sorry, I'm just changing my screen so that I can see everybody. Oh, and Natasha. Natasha, you're relatively new as well. Do you want me just, Kathy, to quickly review?
Yeah, I think that part will work. I mean, the papers are at PetSmart and everybody got them in their package as well. So all new trainees get them. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of going over that part of it.
Okay, so the talking points are really, they were created a few years ago now to explain really the reason why we ask the questions that we ask in the adoption application form. Some of the questions we ask are good to know. Some of them are red flags. So I'll get the ball rolling, and then Carly, you can catch up. And maybe if there are issues or anecdotal stories that folks who've been doing this longer would like to share to illustrate a point further, that would be awesome. So in this document, we really want to start by getting to know the person. So at the very top of that application form, people are giving us their name, their phone number, and their ID. And often people ask, why do we need ID? Like, what kind of ID do you want from me? I generally ask for driver's license. Oh, let me let Sue in. Or an Ontario ID card. Often, I think this originally started because we often had people who we didn't think were old enough, like weren't yet 18, weren't legal to sign a contract. Also, if we really, if there's a person with a common name and we need to check the do not adopt to list, it's just another way to make sure we're talking to the person that we think we're talking to. So we don't want to make a big deal out of it, but that is why that's there. I generally, when people give us that info, I kind of read it upside down while they're finishing the form, and I'm looking at the do not adopt list with that name. So if I see that name on that multi-page, double-sided alpha order list, I can either stop them right away from taking the time to complete an application form and feel like they've wasted their time, or I let them go a little further while I kind of rehearse my script. Okay. I think the next question we ask is if they're comfortable with us taking their picture and posting it on Facebook. That's not mandatory. It's just we don't want to post anything without people's permission. And I think you've seen when we post on Facebook, we never include, hi, this is Carly Archer on Saturday at 11 with her children named so and so, right? It's just Sunshine, the kitty got adopted. So we want to let people know that that's really the only level of info we're sharing.
Can I ask a question about this? Because
sure.
I see quite often that we take the photo and we'll post it on our group, but I never see that photo on the Furry Friends website. So are we using these photos except for to share amongst ourselves?
That's a really good question. I think over even the last couple of years, everybody's technology has changed a lot. Like everybody now seems to have a cell phone, everybody's taking photos, everybody's on social media. That wasn't always the case. So if we were to post on social media, all of our posts do get reviewed by an admin first. I think it's actually Logan who is one of the admins on that account. So she would be reviewing and approving if there were anything that you were to put accidentally that was egregious, it would be caught. So if you want to post to the Furry Friends Facebook page,
I'm gonna
you
go
can
soon.
at Petsmart. So happy to tell
Yeah.
everybody that Daisy got adopted. Please do so. In fact,
So
I think, oh,
I spoke to Logan about this,
yeah,
and what she's been doing instead is at the end of the weekend, every
okay.
weekend, or at the end of the adopt-a-thon, she does one big post with all of the cats that got adopted. She hasn't been using the pictures we've been taking. She's only been using the ones she advertised. But she said she's more than happy to use the ones of them with the cat and the carrier, or whatever. She just needs to know that we have their permission. So I think
Well, we
that's sort
don't
of
don't
been
even
the
take their
shift.
picture unless we have permission.
Yeah.
But we have permission to take their picture, but we have to have permission to post it on Facebook. It's two separate things.
Yeah, I only take their photo if the idea is like I don't want it personally. It's only to post it on Facebook.
Right, but I know when I've been there a few times, people say we're just going to post it on our chat. So we
Oh,
have to be
okay.
specific. But I'm just saying, I asked Logan about it, and that's what she said she's been doing instead of every time a post going up, because then it kind of drowns some of our fundraising posts and stuff.
Yes.
So
Yes, I
um,
agree.
Okay,
that's
so
what she's been doing. I mean, she's only been doing it at the end of the whole cycle, but she said she's happy to do it, after the first weekend or whatever we want to decide. So
yeah,
I think that should be removed right out together because I feel that people, you ask them if we can post this on our site and then we're not posting it and they're looking for their photo with their kitty. So I think it just should be eliminated.
like don't post it at all.
Don't take their picture, don't post it, don't have um a thing on their application about giving us permission to do so. It's
Well, I
just
think if we
remove
can
it.
forward the photos that we take to Logan, then she can use those in that end
Yeah.
of the end of cycle post. So if she's in our chat group, for instance, and we're posting within our own selves, hey, this is who got adopted on my shift, she can take those photos.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
I took a note, so I'll reach out and then we'll make that decision with it. We'll talk to the board about it. Okay.
Oh, maybe she can put those pictures on the end of the adoption event. These are the kitties these are the happy families that have found their new forever friends or whatever and post
Yeah.
them all.
Yeah, like a collage. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, even the ones we haven't used, if we hit our mark in February, we could do
Yes.
like a
Our
year
500.
in a review, right? Yeah.
Great idea.
That's good.
Excellent. So then just moving quickly from there, we ask people's age group. We have kind of maybe a little bit unceremoniously put people into three groups. You're 18 to 20, so you're old enough to adopt, and you're young. 21 to 64, you're an adult, and then 65 and over, you're a senior. And I'm going to ask the group here, like, why do we ask those three? Why do we ask people to put themselves in one of those three groups? Why do we want to know if people are 18 to 20?
Well, you don't want to adopt a kitten out to a 68-year-old woman or a 75-year-old woman because the cat will outlive her, possibly.
So you'll want to have
Yeah.
that kind of conversation if somebody, especially if someone's elderly and wants a younger cat, for sure.
Or
If
yeah, a
somebody's
16-year-old
younger,
walks in. Yeah.
With the 18 to 21-year-olds, you want to make sure they're stable. They've got a job, they've got a place, they're not planning on moving anytime soon, what their situation's like. You just kind of want to know what's happening because we all know when we were that age, it wasn't overly
Mhm.
stable at all the time.
yeah, yeah. And so we don't want to, like, we have to be careful. We don't want to make sweeping judgments, but we
Yeah.
also do need to use our, common sense and experience to,
Mhm.
and the rest of the conversations that we're having with that person. We do ask people to write down the name of their adoptive cat or kitten if they have one. Maybe someone who is there anyone on this call right now who does the online adoption applications? Because I think it's quite rare that somebody is approved to adopt a specific cat. It happens, but not that frequently, right, Susan?
Yeah, so if they're at pet value, then and often they put a cat they're preferring.
Mhm.
If it's before we're in PetSmart or if they know the foster, if they're a volunteer at the shelter, then they may be approved for a specific cat. And that's when they're listed at the bottom saying they've already been approved for that specific cat. But if it is online and that cat's already been adopted or the adoptathon has already started or adoption, then they may say a specific cat, but we tell them we can't guarantee them that.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. We ask, of course, next why people want to adopt a cat from us. And if you see me looking off to the side, I'm not distracted. I have a second monitor that has my talking points document up. Family pet. We love to see that check mark. Breeding, that would be a, big X mark, of course. All of our cats, there's not one single cat that we will adopt that isn't already spayed or neutered. So even if that were their intention, they would fail, but we would also just be wondering about that to begin with. If the cat's a gift, and this is really important as we come up to the holiday uh, adoption cycle, like I'm going to ask Kelsey and Natasha, if somebody wanted to adopt a cat as a gift, what would your reaction be? What would be your next question? Or um,
I
just
would be asking, does your friend know of this gift? Do they want a cat? Like, I would be very apprehensive and hesitant to adopt out a cat that's a gift. I
in
really
great,
wouldn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
great gut instinct. That's a no-go. Because somebody has to fill out a contract to adopt the cat, it cannot be a gift just for
Okay.
that reason alone. And certainly we don't want people, we want to meet the person who's going to have the cat in their home and have that
Well,
education.
exactly. And I mean, you have to prepare for having an animal.
Then we
So,
have, of course, the two other check marks, companion to another pet sounds great. We want to know what other pets they have. So just want to clarify that. And for a barn, I don't know if anybody has seen somebody check that off. It's
No.
pretty rare.
no.
Um, we don't, in fact, I did have someone who said they were looking for a mouser in my last cycle.
Oh,
And yeah, so that would generally be a red flag. We do not adopt cats into barns. There might be a once in a blue moon special circumstance, but that would not be through PetSmart. If there were,
Advise them to call Feline Fit.
there you go.
I was just about to ask that. Would Feline Fix be the option for that? So,
Yeah, we sometimes have, well, we'll have complete ferals, of course,
yeah.
which would be barn cats. We wouldn't put a friendly out in the barn, just a feral cat.
Right.
Quick question about the gift, cats and gifts. Say a husband comes in wanting to get a cat for their wife, or say the daughter lives with their mother and their mother they feel needs a cat. What do we do in a situation like that?
It's a really good question because that is the next question.
Okay, okay.
Are you adopting for yourself or for someone else?
Okay.
And, please provide, for whom, their relationship to you, like why you're adopting for them. You want to get more info about that. We do also ask on the other page if everyone in the household is on board with this new arrival. Like, does everybody want this cat? So I generally only personally, and other people can jump in if it's sort of a gift for the children in the household, if there's adults together doing this for the family. But if it were a husband and a wife, I would maybe like, do you want to take a picture of the cat and have a chat and come back to us?
Yeah.
Have that kind of conversation. I think maybe many of us have had that people go away and have lunch or they're taking pictures and texting, like work it out.
Perfect.
Is that what others would? I'm looking to folks
Yeah.
who
I think
I would say yes. It has to be within the household. One
Mhm.
that comes up quite common is I'm adopting for my mom who lives somewhere
Right.
else.
Yeah.
An elderly person that is not allowed because that often many of the surrenders at the shelter are from I adopted from my mom and now I can't take the cat, right? So I would say within the same
That's
household,
a good flag. In fact,
um,
yeah.
as long as, like if the husband's adopting for the wife, have they at least had that conversation that they're bringing an animal? So I would
Right.
agree with same with the kids sort of thing, but
Yeah.
elderly parents or whatever, it's usually a no-go.
Okay.
Perfect.
What about the boyfriend getting for the girlfriend? They live together.
I would
They
say it
co
depends on their age and
Mhm.
how long they've been together, and also that conversation of what happens to the pet if
Mhm.
they do break up,
Because
right?
people who are
They really
married
need.
find themselves in
Shouldn't
the
that
same
person that's getting
situation, right? It's yeah.
the contract too?
Well, if it goes to court, which we have been there, the person who signed the contract is the legal pet owner.
Right. Okay.
Oh.
And going back to the barn cat thing, I know the Southern Georgian Bay has barn cats too. Just FYI.
Southern Georgian Bay, what?
The
Triangle.
Humane Society.
Mhm.
They have it on their website.
Where are they?
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Um,
The Georgian Triangle.
George,
Oh, okay.
uh,
Gotcha.
yeah, the ones in Collingwood.
Okay,
The
gotcha.
Barrie OSPCA also has it on their website, but when you call and speak to them, they haven't done it in many years. It's listed as a service through OSPCA, but
Mm.
they don't always do it.
Okay.
Okay.
So moving on then, thank you. Like we're all up in people's business, aren't we, when we're going through these applications?
Well, that's the whole reason for going through, right? Just to
Well,
clear some of the air.
exactly. And I've had people say, like, I've adopted children and this paperwork is on par. And I think I don't believe that, but we care about our animals and we're advocating for them. So the next question we ask is like, is this your first cat? And this is just an information gathering moment. If someone says yes, that's just a flag for us that we're going to need to spend a little bit more time probably. Going through the care and feeding of the animal and setting up their home for that arrival. If they say yes, then great. Welcome more to the family. Carly, I'm soon going to give this over to you. I'm just going to talk about the residence information piece. So here's again where we are asking some what might seem like sort of personal questions. We ask about the type of dwelling that people live in. So are they in a house, an apartment, or a condo, student or rooming type situation, rural farm, or property? And then there's a little box for other. I don't think I've seen too many, people at the campsite, but
You never know.
Where would you, what boxes would you see checked to go, okay, I'm gonna have to ask a little bit more about that?
If they
Condo.
rent,
Student.
So student rooming house, and your concerns would be,
well, and if
Well,
you're a
how long?
student and you're in a dorm, you're not allowed to have a cat. So,
right,
and
do you
even
have permission?
yeah.
You are at Georgian.
Oh, are you?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can't have bunnies at
Yeah.
Georgia. I know that. We're going through the process. My daughter's been accepted to Georgia and she starts in the fall, so we're figuring out housing for her.
There you go.
So we want to know, do you have permission? Is everybody in that environment on the same page? Like, are you sharing a space? How long are you going to be there? Do you know what your next move is going to be? Those would be the concerns we would have. Um, what about rural/farm property?
Would be outdoors? You worry about them letting them out, being mousers into the barn and whatnot.
That is the big question. And again, sometimes I think, are we making, stereotypical judgment calls? Maybe, but there are patterns sometimes. So we just want to double check that. Okay.
Sherry,
Yeah.
Sherry, I thought we didn't adopt out to students.
If they're over 18, there's no reason why not to. Like if they're living at home with their parents.
Yeah. No, sorry, not that, but students in student housing.
So if that would
I
probably,
wouldn't, but
you really have to probe.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's one of those questions where, like you had already mentioned, Sherry, is just you kind of know your gut and you just right or wrong. I think you just have to ask. It's a matter of the right questions. If people are being honest, that's the other part too, right? So you just have to be caution to know, like, well, where you going to school, and those are conversations I think a lot of times we have when we're showing the cat or they're showing interest before we even start the other part of it, and we start going through that, right? And then they say, okay, I want to fill out an adoption form. So sometimes you get that feeling a little bit ahead of time. But
Sometimes what I hear
It
people
gets
say as
complicated.
well is like, yeah, while I'm at school, they'll be with my mom, and when I'm here, the cat will be there. And it's back to that situation then, like, so maybe this is like a household cat and we need those other people
Yeah.
here. Or maybe this just takes us right back to the beginning, especially for new folks. If you're asking questions and you just don't have a great feeling, you don't want, like, advocating for the kitty, you really don't want to put the cat in that household, you can say, no, I'm not comfortable uh, approving you for this adoption, or you can say, thanks so much for completing the form. I'm new. You can lie. I need to ask one of the PetSmart lead volunteers to follow up with you. They'll get back to you within 2 days. You can play those cards to get out of a situation if you feel kind of stuck in a corner. So at
Yeah,
the
'cause
end of
I
the day,
think
we're advocating for the
so.
cat.
So it goes back to what's your plan? We have not, in the past, we have not adopted to students at Georgian College in student housing because usually student housing does not allow it. And it goes back to the point that when we're talking to people even in their 60s, what is your plan? Have you actually talked to those people? Like, have you actually talked to your parents about if suddenly you drop out of your program and you're going home, the cat can go with you, right? It's asking those questions
Mhm.
and feeling that yes, they've actually had this conversation, or they're going to go away and have that conversation and come back.
Yeah.
Right? Because ultimately it's what's best for the cat, not what's best for the person.
Uh,
and like Kathy said too, like I find with myself, I have a lot of conversations as people are looking at the cats, and I try to get a feel and I try to throw out certain questions at that point. So then it's less that I have to think about when they're doing the actual, they're filling out the paperwork. Because I'll find that when they start filling out the paperwork, they might actually backtrack on some of the things that they
Yeah.
said when we were having a conversation. So I try to do it where they don't feel like they're being probed. but I'm getting information from them. So
Yeah.
that's what I like to
Bingo.
do, like have those conversations first.
That's the very best approach because people will generally reveal themselves in
Yeah.
in a
And I think
conversation.
one of the comments you made, Sherry, and I'm very comfortable with it. And every person that does and goes through the adoption at PetSmart, if you have a doubt and you're not comfortable, then don't approve it at that point. Then pass it on to, you know what, exactly what Sherry said. I'll have one of my associates call you in the next day or two, and they'll go through the process with you. Just get out of it. Don't put yourself in a situation. If you're not comfortable answering them, then don't. You're better to be safe than sorry. And if you've got a doubt, you have a doubt for a reason. Don't underjudge yourself.
And also along the same lines, if somebody is pre-approved to adopt, and when they get to the adoption center, they make an odd comment, oh, I'm going to let the cat do this, or you pick up that they're adopting a kitten and they don't really have another cat at home. Even though they're pre-approved on the phone, you can stop that adoption at any time until they're walking out the door with the cat. Right?
Okay.
Because the people on the phone have the app in front of them and we're asking the questions, but we don't actually see the physical person.
Yeah.
And we have had people come and make, an off the cuff comment when they're signing the paperwork. And I've stopped the adoption several times right there and declined them. They're like, well, I was already approved. If you have that gut feeling, you make some notes, write it down, and say, I can't allow you to take the cat at this time. We need to, somebody else needs to speak to you or whatever. So, because you have the person in front of you, you may get more of a gut feeling and there might say something, oh, I was at Street Cats and they declined me, or, something like that. So,
Fair enough. Yeah.
And just to remind for the newer folks, in that application little booklet, the very back page is for that reason.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, yes, I want someone else to follow up, take photos of the form, everybody's contact info, like it really spells out the next steps. Or you get on the chat and say, help, and someone will walk you through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I
So,
just circle back to that?
oh, of course.
So I just wanted to be a little more clear on students, because yes, if they're living at home, but no, if they're on campus. And I just want to clarify, because I know, Sue, you mentioned we haven't, but we actually have, because there was a whole series of Shadow who lived at Georgian College from, I can't remember his name, but he used to post pics about her all the time.
Shadow.
Yeah, like
you mean
2020.
Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think he lived on campus. He lived in a house, but
Okay.
his parents, who lived in Toronto, also agreed that the cat could go there if it didn't work out. The cat was shy, right? And would hide
Yeah,
at
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he lived off campus. I had to go there when she
That lives
wasn't
on
eating,
campus.
so he wasn't on campus, and his parents were on board with the cat.
Okay. And like for that adoption, then the parents would have been called, or just a verbal?
His parents came to PetSmart to see the cat with him.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, different scenarios, right? Just depends on what it is. So the other part too, I think we have to be caution of is it a like a service dog? Is it a service cat? Is it a companion cat? So I think these are all good questions that are coming up, and maybe in years past it's been different, and now we talk about the challenges of individuals, especially students in school. These are new things that we've never dealt with. So great conversation. And it's always something
also
to address.
about financial. Like if something happens to the cat and it needs medical attention, is the family going to step in to help with that? Because most students couldn't afford a couple $1,000 vet bill. Most students that I know, anyways, right? So,
Good
Well,
point.
and I think too, it's really helpful on the application or form, or maybe it's the contract where it highlights, like, just as a tip, this is how much it costs on average per year to care for a cat.
Yeah.
Like, done the math, you know it. I think that's very helpful flag for folks. Just the two remaining questions, and then I'm going to pass on to Carly on this form. We do ask in that residence section if people rent or own. And I know we could spend the whole rest of this talking about landlord tenant act and what people are allowed or not allowed to do technically. But I think if people own their home, they are making certain decisions. If people rent, there is a different reality sometimes, for right or wrong, with the landlord. And so it is, maybe it's different if you're in a high rise versus a room in someone's home. It's helpful to double check that they have permission, so that we're not taking a cat back and rehoming a cat and going through all that emotional stress.
Yeah, because allergies are a very real thing for some people. So
Okay. And this last question, number 3, are you in the process of moving or planning to move in the near future? If someone's going to move within the next period of time, please just wait until you're settled and adopt your cat then. I would really want to question them, talk with them about why they want or need to do that right now, and sort of outline the benefits, like the risk reward, for maybe just postponing this adoption process and coming back to it later. Okay. All right. So Carly.
All right, I'm going to take over. So on the occupant information section, they want to know how many adults live in your home, number of children. It doesn't matter how many adults, like, it's just, we just want to know, and is make sure everyone that lives there is on board with the adoption of the cat. For the children, we do not adopt to kittens to people with children under the age of 5. I know there are some kids who are 3 that are just little animal whisperers, and they're great and this and that, but mostly it is that little kids just don't understand boundaries, and
And neither do
traumatized.
kittens.
Yeah, neither do kittens, right? So we lose an eye, and then the kid throws the kitten, and it's just a big mess. It's just really not a good situation. So we really want to make sure that we're not adopting any kittens to people with children under 5. An adult cat, we're a little calmer and that sort of thing's good. But yeah, it's just not. I've seen it. I actually grew up with somebody who was a hoarder, my best friend, and her little brother would put kittens in boxes and throw the boxes. And I remember, like, the cats like having casts on their legs. It was traumatizing, actually. So it is scary. And I mean, nicest people in the world, they just didn't know what was appropriate and what wasn't, type of thing. They were too young. So we want to make
Can we just clarify kitten? Because
sure.
you could
yeah, I was
have
just
a
about to add
10-month, you could have a 10-month-old, which might be appropriate. Or where's your cutoff? Is it 1
Kitten is
year?
6 months and younger.
So I
Okay.
think that's an interesting question though, Mel, because the kitten fee is for an animal 1 year old, right? Like, sometimes we use the word kitten to mean 2 different age
Right.
ranges.
We do. Because we have a
So,
6 month cutoff and a 1 year cutoff.
so for the single kitten consideration policy, that's 6 months. The cat has to be 6 months or older, but for the adoption fee, it's 1 year or younger. It's the kitten rate.
So what about the kids under 5? Would that
6
be a
months.
kitten that's under 6 months? Okay.
The cat has to be older than 6 months.
Okay, good.
But I think
Not
there may be
5,
some
under
confusion,
5.
like, what do we, kittens 6 months here, but 1 year there, 6 months, 5 years old. Those are the two.
Right. They
Has
go
to be
together.
over 6 months.
Under 5 or 5 and under.
Yeah, less than, greater than.
Yeah.
No, is it 5 and under, or I can't remember now? Or is it under 5?
Under 5.
Under 5.
Right.
Yeah, and another thing, so also, have your children been exposed to cats or kittens? Like Natasha, you said allergies are real. So people don't know if their kids, if they haven't been around cats or dogs before, they don't know if they have allergies. So we want to make sure we know what their plan is if their child actually does have allergies, it ends up they do are allergic or whatnot. Um, and also, if they do know that someone in their home suffers from allergies, but they still want to get a cat, like how are they going to manage that? What are they going to do about that with asthma? Or you could be like me and get a cat and he has asthma. And you never deal with that. But so we want to make sure that everyone is thinking about these questions. So we want to make sure they're saying, okay, if they do get sick, if there is asthma involved, what are you going to do about it? What is the plan here? So just want them to think really deep about these things when they're coming to terms with adopting a cat. So just some good ones to do there. Do all your household members, well, we kind of did this one, agree with the adoption of this pet? If they don't, if it's no, like, why don't they agree? Why are they adopting a cat anyway? What if the person doesn't want the animal even after it's brought home? Because some people say to you, oh no, they'll once they bring it home, they're gonna love it. It's not a problem. Like, don't worry, they love cats. We've all heard that before. I think I've tried to use that line when I was little with my parents. So, we just really want to get to the nitty gritty and just really ask a lot of questions and make sure it is something that everybody is on board with. Also, list the animals you've shared your home with the last 5 years. We kind of want to know how people are dealing. Like, do we have a vet on board? Are we euthanizing? Are we like, what are we doing with our pets here? Like, are we spaying and neutering? Have you have a cat for 10 years but don't have a vet? Like, you kind of want to figure out what's going on with people. We want to make sure they have a vet. And if they don't have a vet, what's the reason? Are they new to town? Are they in the middle of switching vets? So you just really want to kind of get into the background history of their previous animals. So it's going to tell you a lot about how they are as pet owners. All right. Sorry, guys. Sherry's better at this than I am.
Doing just fine.
All right.
Doing a great job. So the next ones are those questions like, have you ever surrendered your cat to a shelter
Yes.
before? And if yes, explain the circumstances.
Which is usually, if they have, it's usually a red flag. It's a deal breaker. There are situations where a family member has passed away and no one was able to take care of the cat, so they've had to surrender the cat on behalf of a family member. So there, you want to explore that, but most of the time, if somebody has surrendered a cat previously, we don't want to be adopting out, but we want to get the details of that. So make sure we ask the questions. Have you ever had a pet, the euthanization? So if someone says yes, what are the reasons? Like, some potential good reasons, maybe the animal was seriously ill, in pain, with no reasonable treatment options, or the animal was old and its quality of life would have been seriously diminished. We'd be concerned if people euthanize an animal because they weren't willing or able to pay for required treatments or weren't willing or able to care for an animal's special needs. So we just need to probe what happened. Like, did they pass away of old age, or did you let them suffer for months on end because you didn't, there's people that don't believe in medical treatment as well. So there's just a lot of questions to ask when we're doing the adoptions. But like you said, like your gut feeling, you really do, you do trust your gut. Declawing. So absolutely not. Someone says they wanted to be declaw. It's terrible. You're cutting off fingertips. One of my guys from the shelter is declawed. And there's so many things he can't do. It's sad to see sometimes. Some people are unaware. Like, I know that people will say, well, no, when you got a cat growing up, parents just, when they got it spayed and neutered, they just declawed it. Like, they just think it's part of the process. They don't realize how bad it is and what the procedure actually does to the cat. So if you get the feeling if someone's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, and they truly get it, or if you're like, their furniture is far more important than the cat keeping their fingertips. So use your discretion there and really probe them on why they think a cat should be declawed.
And on that note, I know someone who did that. So she took her cat in. Mind you, this was only like 4 years ago. Got her declawed and spayed at the same time. So with spays, we know that you drop them off in the morning, you pick them up in the afternoon. When they get declawed, they're at the vet for like 2 or 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that's how hard it is on them.
Oh,
right?
in the
'Cause
law.
imagine-
And
oh.
sorry, Carly, go ahead.
No, go.
Well, I was just gonna say my question, and maybe this, I don't know, Susan, if you know, because I've heard anecdotally that people say, do they even do that anymore? I thought vets weren't allowed to declaw. And I think the practice is declining, but maybe they hold, like they reserve the right just in case. Do you happen to know what the status of?
It is on the decline. It is against the law in Nova Scotia and British Columbia, but it is still allowed in Ontario. And several vets in Barrie will still do it if
Okay.
people request it.
Yeah, this one was in Perkinsfield, so near a small town near me, but it was the last one that they did. They're not doing any more after that. I know my vet in Pettitang, she does not do it. So a
It'd be
lot more
hard to
vets are
find
board,
hard to
but
find a vet to do it, that's for sure.
I hope so.
Well, one of the vets clinics that we use will still do it, and I was quite
Really?
shocked. It, you know, I don't know. It's controversial until Ontario bans it, you will still see it happening, unfortunately.
Well, my guy's only 3. When he came to the shelter, he was 2, and he was declawed, and it was only a year ago. So I mean, it wasn't that long ago he was declawed here in town.
That's
Yeah.
pretty.
And a
So
lot of the time with, sorry, go on.
if people automatically check it, often when you say to them, well, what, like I always say, well, why? Because if you say, oh, I won't adopt you, we won't adopt you because of that, they'll automatically say, oh, I won't do it. And that's still a decline. It's more, as Carly said, that conversation. Well, why did you say yes? What's your plan? And some people will say, oh, I thought that's just what you did, right? And because their family cat was done, it's okay. But it's having that conversation before telling them that we won't adopt to them, because people will say that I just won't do it. And I'm like, well, you're just telling me that now, right? So it's very careful. We get a lot of cats, not so many now, but several years ago, declawed because they start peeing outside the litter box because the litter is painful
Yep.
with their paws, right?
Yep.
Or it whatever. So I
A lot
would
of
say
behavioral
often
issues.
they're returned to us. So
Yeah. There seems to
So
be a
if
lot.
you have that conversation with them and they understand, then would you still adopt to them?
me personally, I wouldn't. As soon as someone says yes to decline, I to me
So
that's it.
you'd teach them, but they still can't adopt.
That would be me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of it now is in old school, it was a thing that they did. So I think a lot of it is an educational piece for a lot of people because they're like, didn't know that. And that's just through friends of friends conversations, right? So
Yeah.
some people still think it's being done, and others are like, really? Oh, I just thought it was that's what you did. It's like, no, why would you do that? That's like taking your fingers off. How do you eat? Right? So
Yeah. Well, and it goes kind of hand in hand with this next one where will your new cat be kept indoors, outdoors, or both? And I know I've seen it a couple times myself is the check off the both box. Before we mention anything about that to them, we want to have the conversation. Oh, like, what do you mean? How are you going to have, like, letting them out the back door to mouse outside? Or are you putting them on the harness? Are they going to be with you? Or are they going to be enclosed in a catio? So it's really, I find a lot of people are saying both. It's because they're going to have the cat on a harness or whatever. But you really got to feel out the person and on the answers. And again, it's the old school thing where some people are like, well, the cats always went outside when we were kids, but it's not like that anymore. And there's a bylaw against letting your cats out. So you really got to ask the questions and see you feel that this is like they have a catio and they're actually going to use a harness, or if they are the type of people that are going to just be letting the cat out the back door. If they have, if the cat bugs them, they just send them outside type of thing. But they have to buy bylaw is indoor and on a harness. So if people say, well, I'm just gonna let it out anyways, you can just shut them right down with it's against bylaw, sorry, we can't adopt you. And my favorite is I'm not authorized to deal with this. I will keep your thing here. If you'd like someone to reach out to you, I will do that for you.
We're all in it together.
Yeah, I use that often because people they just want to argue with you. And if they think you can't do anything about it, then they just fliff you off and walk away. So that works for me anyways. All right. Okay, so you are responsible to ensure your cat receives medical care should they become ill or injured. We also recommend regular checkups by a veterinarian. Do you have a veterinarian? What is the name? So we've talked about this a bit. We want to make sure people have a vet, or if they haven't had pets in several years, maybe that's why they don't have a vet, but have they looked into what vet they'd like to use, what's ones in their area? So we just want to make sure that people are thinking about this thing because cats, they need checkups and they like to get into mischief. And mine will go a couple years and everything's great. And then all four of them are like, oh, hey, we're going to make it a real rough year for you. So you want to make sure people know when they have a vet on hand, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I
and I find
recommend.
people are not, they don't have that same mentality with cats that they do dogs. It's like,
No.
oh, they got their kitten vaccines, they're good, they don't go outside. And I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe I'm a different boat because I have a chronically ill cat who every 4 to 6 months has an upper respiratory infection. So I don't know. I can't imagine not taking my cat in at least once a year for all that
Yes.
stuff.
Well, one thing to remember too is like as a charity, we are unable to recommend a specific vet to people. I usually will just pull out the cat's passport and say, "Oh, this cat was an Aldergrove cat, or this cat was an Allendale cat." If you'd like more information, you can reach out to them, but I don't ever recommend any vets to anybody. So just keep that in mind. I just let them know where that cat went as far as I take it. I don't
Yeah,
know if any.
I'm not local to Barrie. I don't know, but I do what you do. I pull out
Yeah.
their little passport.
Yeah, I'm not.
Do the
So
same
that's where
thing.
they've been going. Well, they've
Yeah,
been with us, but you can head wherever you like. The vet on your
yeah.
application will work just fine too.
Mhm.
So have you surrendered the cat to shelter? We talked about this one. Huge red flag. I already do. Hold on, guys. Sorry. I had my paper backwards. I apologize. Will your new cat be cat? Oh, we did that. Sorry, guys. I'm way
You're
off
number
topic
12.
here. Sorry, where am
Terrible
I?
Tuesday.
Number 12.
Do you have a safe room?
Yeah.
Yes.
Carly, do you have a safe room?
You have a safe room. Carly needs and ready about now. To allow this cat to be comfortable for the period of adjustment. You cannot just get a cat and throw it your front door and think everything's going to be glorious and it's going to get along with your two cats and your husky. It just doesn't work like that. You need to make sure you have a suitable spot to introduce the cat. They need some cats after a week have smelt all the smells and are ready to roar to get a part of the household. Some cats take I've had a cat that's taken a month or longer to be comfortable with joining the whole crew. So it's really, really important that they have that separate space. I know that even the smaller bathroom in the basement, it's just temporary until the cat's comfortable and they've gotten used to all the smells and the sounds in the house and whatnot. Even if you don't even have any cats at home or pets at home, they do still suggest having that in that small space so they can acclimate to their new surroundings. So we really want to make sure they have that or they are aware of that. And if they don't know, educate them on it and yeah, go from there. What steps will you take to introduce your current pet with the new cat or kitten? I've always, one big thing that was helpful for me when they had the cat in their separate room, after a couple days or when the cat was ready, I would feed my cat inside their room at the door and then my other cats outside of the door so that they could smell each other and they were eating together but were still separated by the door. I would do that. I tend to do that for about a week and then I would open the door a little bit and it seemed to work really well for me. So I suggest that to people when they're trying to when they have questions and want some tips on how to get them to interact a little better.
I tell them to, when they're petting one kitty, to leave the room and have your kitty smell that kitty on your hands,
Oh, that's a
and
good.
vice versa. Before you go in to tend to the new kitty, pet your own cat and have the new kitty smell them on you.
There you go.
And there's some
So
really great tips
Gas
in
and
that new booklet,
Galaxy
right? Sorry.
says scent swapping. So the scent of like a towel, pet your cat with it, take it out to the other pet. Also putting that scent underneath the food dish so that it's related to positive. So a towel, a blanket that your cat lied on, swap them out and put them under the food dish so that it's a positive experience because it's the scent of the new cat or the old cat that sets them off. But if they associate it with a positive thing like food, treats, then it becomes when they smell the new other cat, it's like, oh, I've smelled that before, right? So
Yeah,
it's
and it's making
sense
me hungry.
sense swapping. Jackson Galaxy, who's the guy from My Cat from Hell, it's his number one thing is making that scent a positive thing before you put them together.
That is so
And
neat.
he's awesome. He's so good.
And that it can take a couple weeks, sometimes a month. The longer, I always tell people, the longer you let the process happen, the better the relationship with you and the cat will be and the other animals in the house. And I always tell people, like, I have a 144-pound dog who is introduced to young kittens once they're dewormed and everything, right? And they just know that it's okay. It's another animal in here, will be okay, right? So
Wow.
Definitely.
What kind of dog is 144 pounds?
a Saint Bernard Burmese mountain dog.
Good
Holy crap.
The big guys.
That's a big dog.
That
Yep.
says that's a big dog.
But gentle.
The big
Oh,
ones
I find the
usually
bigger the
are.
dog, the gentler they are. It's the little chihuahuas that want to take your ankles off.
Yeah.
True. All right. So we'll move on to what would you do if your cat started to scratch the furniture or had litter box accidents? So the question encouraged applicants to think about potential problems that might arise and how they would resolve them. Would they trim the cat's nails, get scratching posts? Would they declaw them? Red flag. Would they consider taking the cat to the vets, move the litter box to a quieter location, trying different litters? So we just want to give them ideas on how to you deal with those issues. I know one thing that works really well is driftwood. If you're out hiking, doing whatever, and you find a chunk of driftwood, you dry it out, cover it in catnip, bring it in the house, and that's where they go. That's my cats that's what they enjoy to do. But litter too, like you got to switch your litter up, move it around. Sometimes they don't like that it has a hood on it, like a covered box. They want it uncovered. There's so many things you can do in a situation like that. So lots of ideas to give them and see what they come up with because we don't want them just to give up on a cat because it peed on a bag they left on the floor because cats love to pee on things if you leave them on the floor anyways.
Yes, I do.
You want to ask them if they're aware that cats can live up to 20 years and if they're willing to take responsibility for this cat the entire time. If someone checks no, that's a red flag. They'll need to sign in and understand the cat may live up to 20 years. Cats do live up to 20 years. So it's a long commitment and we want to you want to make sure people know that. Like dogs are, 12, 13 years. Cats can get up to 25. It's like they live long lives, especially our calicos. Calicos, those girls, they live a long time. All right, we're moving on to what would you do should you become unable to care for your cat? People may say that the promise to return the cat to furry friends, which is good if there are no other options. Encourage them to think about family members or friends who'd be willing or able to care for the animal and to have that conversation with them. You just want people even just thinking about that. Like, well, what would I do if something happened and I had to rehome my cat? Who would be there for me? And so you just want to get people thinking, like a lot of people come to PetSmart to get dog food and then they see a kitten and they're like, oh my God. So you want to make sure you're just really asking the questions that get their wheels going to make sure this is something they're actually ready for. Because it's a big commitment. It's not a small, 1 or 2 year beta goldfish thing. So yeah. Alrighty. So
I'm
about the
mesmerized by Sally and her cat right now.
right?
It's gorgeous.
My cats won't cuddle with me when I'm talking. So about the adoption contract, since this is a contract, please ensure everything is completed and signed and initialed. The adopter is initialing agreement points that relate directly to the questions we ask in the application. Kathy, am I doing this one or are you?
The pamphlet?
No, it's me. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
So
okay.
the healthcare disclaimer section, there are 4 points we want to make clear. Furry friends will partner with adopters and cover the cost of any health concerns that arise 72 hours post-adoption. The adopter must agree to be a temporary foster of the adopted cat during this period. And must reach out to furry friends immediately to communicate any concerns via email. Furry friends will make appointments with their partner veterinarians, discuss care plans, and pay the fees. The adopter foster must take the cat to and from the vet clinic. There are 2 reasons for this change. Anything that happens within the 72 hours is likely related to the care of the cat in our custody. Issues that arise later are more likely to be related to the care of the cat in their home. Veterinarians are governed by their own regulatory bodies. They're only permitted to communicate about the health of an animal and make healthcare decisions or plans with the pet's owner. Temporarily assigning the adopter a foster status makes it possible for furry friends to act as the owner and get the required care at discounted rescue rates. We will not reimburse an adopter's vet bills should they seek medical attention on their own without consulting with us. And there we go.
Yeah, Carly, can I ask a quick question? So if somebody calls and their cats get sick, they have to take them to the vet clinic, we tell them?
So we will set up the appointment and everything. We tell them when that appointment is, what time they get the cat there. They must get the cat to and from the appointments. But
Yes,
we
they
say,
have to use the email
yeah,
and send it through, and then Nicole responds and sets it up with a time for them to actually take the cat. So when you're going through, and I'll touch on that part a little bit on the one that I'm going to cover, just to make sure that we do go through that part, okay?
And it's
And then,
business
I'm going to
days.
cover that. Yeah, I'm going to cover that.
okay, that was my question is
Yeah.
like, what is the 3 days? Because I think there's been some confusion there.
Do we
Yeah.
want to cover that right now?
Carly, are you done?
there's just one more thing at the back here. So that part you said about the health concerns to email to Nicole. But also we also should be letting the adopters know that if a cat isn't eating within the first 24 hours, this is a problem. Adult cats 24 hours, kittens 12 hours. It is very important these cats are eating. So if they are not eating within the first 24 hours, they need to reach out to us
Good
because
point.
that is a problem.
Okay.
And these emails are monitored like pretty regularly?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, they're
Absolutely.
every single day. So it's the info
Okay.
at furryfriendsberry.com email is that what we would like the adopters to email so that we can take care of that right away. But a cat eating is super important. So that's one thing we want to make sure we do tell the new families is to please watch their eating.
And
what-
is that on the new paperwork?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Mel,
Okay,
and what we also have in there is like, so don't call us, email.
Yeah.
Email us at this specific email address, info@, and then it tells people what to write in the subject line. And that's what
Okay.
makes it possible for volunteers to easily triage through the hundreds of emails. I want a cat, I lost my cat. That subject line, we know there's a health concern with a recent adopter.
Okay.
Good, Carly?
Yep, good to go.
Okay, so I'll go through this just very quickly. So I'm going to talk about the adoption pamphlet, which in the package that every new person gets, everybody got a copy of this. I sent you a copy just so that you can actually go through it. This is
love it.
actually good reading material. It actually would look like this is the way that we're actually giving it out. So that's the new form that everybody will see. The information that's in here is actually, and if you haven't browsed through it, I do encourage you to go through it for yourself. So we talked a lot. I love the conversation. I don't want to keep everybody on the call forever, so I do apologize. But I didn't want to interrupt. Sherry and I had been talking back and forth. I didn't want to interrupt because it was a good conversation. Well worth it. Okay, so thank you. In this booklet, one of the things that we were sharing back and forth, and it was talking about the actual introduction of the cats from one cat to another cat. It's actually in this booklet. So everything that you talked about, the smell, the scent, all of the information is right here on this page. It's fantastic. So most of the stuff that we've covered or we will be covering tonight is in this booklet or through the conversation that we were fortunate enough to be able to share with each other. And that's why I say everybody's opinion and everybody's comments that go back in the conversations that we have, they're vital. They're very important. It's how we all learn from each other, whether you're new or whether you've been around many years. Like we always say, you can't teach a new dog new tricks. Well, that's not true. You can. So we learn from each other, and I think that's important. So I do highly recommend this booklet. Should you have any questions, please don't hesitate.
And
Sure.
so Kathy, that booklet, when people are on site, is in every adoption package, right? You might not see it in the rubber Tuppermade container, but you will find it in the big adoption envelopes.
Yeah. Any questions with this?
I think it's great.
Good. So there's some good comments and takeaways back to the board. You can pass the information on. Whoever created the booklet or put it together, very, very well done. So.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, so Carly touched on a bit of it. I also sent you the contract, which you all see when you're filling them out. I would say a good portion of them are done correct on the front part. Where we have the opportunity, and we talked about these, we talked about the wheel, we talked about the spokes. This is a spoke, one of the things, because once it leaves us, so once it's filled out at PetSmart, it is then collected, and the information on this is then used to enter into a system that furry friends have. I can't remember the name of it. One of you guys might know.
Shelter management system.
There you go. The important part is this last page. And this, I think we get confused because we really overthink it. It's very simple. The day a cat is adopted, so let's use a Friday for an example, okay? So if a cat gets adopted on a Friday, day one starts Saturday. The only days that are not included is a Sunday. Why a Sunday? Because the vets are closed. So day one is Saturday, day two is Monday, day three is Tuesday. That's your 3 days.
And so Kathy, like Friday, generally those are Friday nights. So the next day makes sense. But if it's Saturday morning,
doesn't
the
matter.
next day is Monday. So it's
Doesn't
Monday
matter.
through Wednesday.
Just do not include the day of adoption. Start it the next day.
Okay.
We don't know sometimes when they are adopted. So the fall safe is just very simple. 3 days.
And
Don't
not
overthink
Sunday
it.
out if that's in the count.
The only day that does not count is Sunday. Are we good with that? Can I see a thumbs up?
So I'm still a little bit confused.
Go ahead.
So I work on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And I had been putting, like, after I read it through, I put the Thursday. I should be putting the Wednesday.
Wednesday, correct. You are correct.
Then I apologize because my whole last round were incorrect.
But that's the whole reason for the Zoom call too, right? Was to correct. And so no pamphlet will leave the next cycle until I have checked it over. But it's important that we all understand. So the date, it's just 3 days. Don't overthink it. The day people adopt doesn't count. Start your next day. If it's a Sunday, move it to a Monday.
So, question, Susan, in reality though, is it possible to get vet appointments that quickly? So if they did adopt Friday night and they send an email, I don't know, Saturday at noon and saying, I need a vet appointment, can we actually get a vet appointment by Tuesday?
So, yes,
Yeah.
in some cases, because John Snow was adopted on Friday night, and he was actually at the vet's, I believe, on the Tuesday morning. We had a vet appointment for him. So they do work it as long as in the headline, and I had given Nicole a heads up because we have the virus in the cold virus in the shelter. So we were all aware, just kind of like we had 2 cats that we brought over and then let them go out of PetSmart. They had already had it, obviously, so we were aware of it. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be a problem. And if it is, I think the board then, they know.
So if they send it and we get it, we call the vet right away. Most of the time, the vet will fit them in for us. We have had some issues where they don't have an appointment. So if it says Wednesday and the vet appointment's on Thursday, we still cover it if they've contacted us within those 3 days, right? Like there's leeway. We understand. The other problem is sometimes the people can't go. We also have arrangements with the vet. They drop off at 8 o'clock and pick up after work. So the 3 vets that we use are usually fairly flexible with us. So some people go on day 4, but it's still okay because we've talked to the vet before then. So, yeah.
And they've
Yeah.
reached out, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I think in the case of John Snow, because we knew the virus at the shelter, that potentially we thought they were going to be good, and then it was kind of like, oh, I don't know, right? She called me first thing Saturday morning. I immediately got a hold of Nicole, and then we started the process just in case. So Nicole was aware of it, and I think that's the key that's there.
Yeah. They have to send it says urgent health concern, because I also received the info ad. So if I know Nicole's working, then I can go into the system when I'm on my break from work and get, or email the person back saying, what's your availability? So we have that and can get a hold of the vet right away. It's very important that it says that in the email, urgent health concern.
And that is in their contract.
Yes. Yeah. So the other part with this page that talks about the 3 days, it's either a yes or a no. There's 3 sections. It's yes. Then you have the middle that says on what day they're actually adopted, and then the no. If it's medical, you check yes. If they don't want medical, then it's no. And it's the actual day, which is per se the Friday. Okay. If it is in fact here, yes, I agree to the temporary foster adoptee from the present date, the 3 days later are Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. So the date that's here is the same date that is here. The middle part. Don't forget to initial. And then down at the bottom here, it does have one question down here at the very near the bottom. It's kind of the last part of it, and we probably about 75% of the time we miss it. All it is here is, yes, I would like to receive an email electronically, and it has to do with Hill's Pet Nutrition.
So I don't know if we're missing it, Kathy. Like, people don't have to check it off, right?
No. Nope.
And I do make a point. I say, like, they support us. They give us so much as part of our arrangement, our partnership. They ask us.
Yeah, it's a great.
You'll get some free
benefit to
coupons. You
them.
can unsubscribe, and usually people then will check off, because that really helps us when we do our reports as a recipient of this donor's gift or contribution, to say we've done our part. We've tried to get the fresh meat, the new adopters to sign up for your information.
So any questions on the adoption, the 3-day medical? Does it make sense now? So the only day you don't have is Sundays.
I have a question about the middle part there. So if they say yes, you put the 3 days from now there. But if they say no, do we still need to fill in that middle part?
Then it's Friday's date. No.
Okay.
The middle
sorry.
part is
Yes,
associated
yes,
with
you do.
a.
The middle piece has to be filled out regardless. Because that tells them that would be the 3rd date or the Friday. So on Friday, you enter the date, my cat's adoption is finalized. So yes, the middle section is filled out regardless if it's a yes or no.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, I
thank you.
haven't been doing that. Okay.
No.
Sorry, I thought the middle
You either
part was
say
really
yes and
a.
fill out that section, or you check no and fill out that section. You don't fill out both sections.
So the middle section is just clarifying you're no longer a foster. The cat is now yours.
Actually, you are correct. You are correct. So it says No, you're
There's
right.
two
So,
sections. There's
I-
A, paragraph 1
yeah,
and 2.
so,
and
so the animal shelter will not be financially responsible for any reason if my cat becomes ill.
Yeah.
I
Right.
have the right to discuss and treat health concerns, a veterinary of my choice.
Yes.
So if it's no, then no.
So I'm going to tell you a good habit that when I train, I do.
Yep.
So if they say yes, you fill out the section and cross out no.
That's
If
what
they say no, I cross out the yes section.
So that whole section from on
Yep,
over.
I just put a line
You're
through
right.
it
Yep. No, you're
so that it's
100% right.
very clear, because when you're not on site, so Nicole or myself, and you say in the chat yes to medical or no
Or
to
no.
medical,
Yep.
if you don't, then I have to go there and get the form. And if they're both checked off, then I don't know what to do, right? It becomes a legal matter.
Okay.
So I've just always, when if they say, because some people fill out yes and no,
Yep.
so then I clarify with them which one they want, and I cross out the one that they don't want, whether they filled it out or not. I just put a line through
I do
yes,
the
or I
same.
put a line through no.
Okay. Makes
It
sense.
makes
Everybody
it
good?
much easier.
So if it's yes, then the section 1, section 2. If it's no, it's the third section and cross out the top 2.
Yeah.
Good. Any questions? Again, that's why everybody's here. So we just ask them, right? Okay. Okay. The expense of a cat going to PetSmart. Ballpark figure, I think Nicole was saying the average cat that goes is around $250, but that price can change. So that's just for our knowledge. That's so that you understand the price of a cat is $260. The price of a kitten, 6 and under, is $300. So it's not that we make up $40 because that's spent in medical, dental for other cats where we've had huge expenses. So it's just to get a cat ready. Even a kitten, you're spending $250 and up.
Yep.
Just the need to know info, okay? The 2025. So I had some requests from a couple people. We talked about we're going to do a book off sheet and a vacation sheet that you'll have access to, so you can book time off if you need it. That way you don't have to keep texting back and forth through the chat. You can just go ahead and use it and book yourself off. And then I'll take that information and then go in and change the actual calendar for the cycle.
Have you posted that already, Kathy, or you're going to?
No, I'm going to. So that'll be done before the weekend. And then, Carly, you got the 2025 National Adoption Week.
You're muted, Carly.
Got it.
There you go.
Thank you. Yes, so our adoption weeks, our first one is the week of March 24th to the 30th. Our second adopt-a-thon week is July 21st to the 27th, and our third is October 20th to the 26th. The adopt-a-thons are a lot of work to get set up and to take down. So we do need extra people on weekends that we are doing the adopt-a-thons. I'm a bit of a brute, so I'm happy to tear down and do a bunch of the heavy work, but there's a lot of tedious work when it's getting the laundry, it's cleaning the cages, it's washing the dishes, it's sanitizing. So we'll really need to stack up our staff on those weekends that we're doing the adopt-a-thons. It's important.
So just to add on to Carly for a second, where you will actually see the schedule, if you tab all the way to the far right, there is a contact list that's in there for everybody should you need to contact somebody. The other thing that's also in there is the 2025 yearly calendar. So it tells you when we're in PetSmart every single month and what are the actual dates of the National Adoption Week, should you need to know. Okay, so that's all housed in that one spot. So you'll see the calendar and then going across. And
Sorry, I just wanted to add in our National Adopt-a-thon weeks are super important because we get double points for cats. In case anyone didn't know that. So every cat is 2 points instead of 1. And that's why these are really, really important weeks for us to get cats moving.
What do these points mean?
money, ting, ting,
Money,
ting,
money,
ting.
money. So
Okay.
Every point goes to a grant type of thing. So Kathy, you want to take over this little piece here?
Yeah, so right now, and we talk about this, I try and make sure that you guys get the update. As of the end of this weekend, we will have a total of 432 cats adopted. Our goal is 500. I do, realistically, I really do think we can meet that.
And
I
that's by the end of January or early
Yeah, until
February?
the end of February.
Yeah, so
No,
it's not
it's end of
End of
January.
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 February.
Nope, January.
Well, that's
The
okay.
end of January.
Oh, sure. Throw 30 days on a hobby.
But it's not a calendar year. It is sort of an odd year end, so we're not, it's doable.
Okay, well, that's okay. We can handle this. We can do it. So we'll sit at 432. When we reach 500, the points turn into dollars, which means we will get $10,000 in total through all the grant, like through all the points that we've collected. It will end up being $10,000 that will come back to the shelter. It'll be the first time it's been done. So we can do this, right?
So we receive at points, like, we've already received some money, so I think our first one is at
Hang on, sorry, I'm just
Two-
gonna mute Melanie, I think.
200. Like, so we have received some of that money. The farther we go, then we keep getting more money. So it doesn't mean we're not
10,000
getting
in total,
money.
not all at once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cumulative.
Mhm.
Yes. In total points. Okay, anything else? You done there, Car?
Yep.
Okay, so the Petsmart tablet, it's important that we sign in because then it just registers. We still get the points, we still get all of that, but it's nice to know who is actually, so if we wanted to run a contest of whoever is doing the most adoptions, we can do that, but it's important that we sign into the tablet. You each received an email from Adoptions Made Easy, which is AME. So you signed in with your email and you gave it a password. If you're not using it because you can't remember your password, just reset it. Put your email in and then just reset it. It's very simple.
Guilty as charged.
So even on a busy weekend, you, like, if there's two people there, you want them signing out every
No,
time and re-signing?
No.
Okay.
Once somebody signed in, then they're fine. I'm good to go. It's just sometimes it's still under PetSmart. We haven't signed into it. That's all.
Just a question too. When you say we have to sign in, you just mean for the AME, not the
Yes.
actual tablet? Because I
No,
know we
just-
sometimes, yeah.
Just AME, our
Okay.
part.
So if Chelsea is signed in on Saturday morning and then I come at noon,
That's okay.
should she sign out and I sign in?
She could. I just don't. If we can at least sign in, that's a start.
So it's more important that it be Furry
Yeah.
Friends versus PetSmart. And if it can be Sally Furry Friends or Chelsea Furry Friends, then we're rocking it.
Good. Okay, Carly, you're.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, so the evening closing duties.
Yeah.
We really want to make sure we're sweeping and mopping. Just mopping super important. It's not a big area. PetSmart usually has their mop all with mop water and everything just around the corner. You can steal it from them just to give the floor a quick mop. Just all the outdoor shoes, the amount of pets that come in and out. We just want to make sure we're keeping it sanitized for our cats. It's easy to do. And also speaking of that, lysine in the food. So we want to make sure we're adding in the powder into their wet food just to make sure we're keeping on the ball with keeping them as healthy as possible. But sweeping and mopping is really important to keep everything sanitized and the cats the healthiest they can be.
I had PetSmart staff personally thank me on Sunday when I was cleaning out.
Did they?
Yeah.
I believe it.
Said,
Thank
"Not
you.
that-
I don't think they're being mopped out nightly if it's not us doing it. So if we don't
Exactly.
do it, it's not getting done.
Never. And then we got Georgia Triangle in there with their, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of
Well, think of how many
a lot of-
people come in, not just their clothing, but their shoes, right? So they're walking. You don't know where they've been. So let's just protect what we can through using the sanitizer and mopping and sweeping.
That's good for that. Oh, communication during each shift. You guys are really good at this. You're already awesome at it. But just remembering to just communicate during the shift. Let us know how it's going, how it went. Cats were adopted, weren't adopted. And any questions, like always ask questions. If you're unsure of something, no question's stupid. It doesn't matter if it's been asked 400 times and you just need it clarified for 401. Just ask. We don't mind. We love to answer questions. So just lots of communication and you're never bugging anybody. So please, just ask.
Okay, so I have a piece of paper in front of me, and it's I got it from Logan, and I'll send it out after tonight's call. I'll email everybody the sheet so they actually have it for yourself. And it talks about FIV. So it stands for feline immune deficiency virus. Is everybody familiar with what this is?
Yep.
It's not good.
Okay, so I will send this sheet out for everybody so you actually will have a copy on hand. I think it's also maybe good for us maybe to post it inside the cupboard door so we have it there for our own reference. And then also just keep a copy in the box. Yeah, Car?
This is important because we do have some FIV cats in the shelter that will be coming up for adoption here soon. So the more knowledge we have on them, they are the sweetest cats. They have the potential to live the long, glorious life. They just need a little extra TLC and to keep them from getting sick. They just have compromised immune systems. So it's important that we do go over these sheets and we really keep ourselves knowledgeable on FIV because I currently have 3 cats at the shelter that will be coming for adoption soon that are FIV positive.
Yeah, so Leo's one that's going this.
Yep, on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
but we also have Dante and Herbie as well.
right. So Leo, for example, has it, but because he doesn't have any teeth, correct? Then for him, he can't pass it on.
Yeah.
So and
And he's
who's
neutered, so we can't transfer it that way. And then it has to be for FIV to be transferred, it has to be a deep muscle tissue wound. So I mean, it's got to go really deep in order to get in there. And a lot of the time when we find FIV with cats, it's because they've been outdoors for so long. And these feral communities and colonies cats fight to the death. Like, I mean, they are fighting, and that's why these vicious deep wounds happen. It's not something that goes on in a home. Like I'm personally in my lifetime, I've had 3 FIV cats. 2, I didn't know they even had it until it was time to put them to sleep. And 1 I knew from the beginning. And it was awesome. I didn't know any different. It was a really, really great experience. So, and they fought, but my cats never, and like I said, they can't transfer it through mating because they're spayed, neutered, that sort of thing. And lots of our FIV cats end up getting dental and a lot of their teeth get removed. So most of them can't even transfer it that way either.
With this
But
FIV,
just be
sorry.
aware, we do not test all of our cats for FIV unless they show symptoms of it. So often people come in and want to know that we've tested our cats for that. We do not
It's expensive.
test unless there's a reason for us to run that test. If we are bringing cats that have been outside for a long time, come in with deep wounds, then we do run the test. So most of our cats have not been tested for it, and that does come up. And people want to take the cat to the vet and have them tested before they adopt. We do not allow that to happen. If we know they're FIV positive, we do disclose that with these cats, but other cats, we are unaware whether they have it or not.
okay.
Now, what are the symptoms of it? Like you mentioned that you would have them tested if they show symptoms. What are symptoms of it?
So they have a low immunity system. Again, if we've had a cat that has come in with deep wounds on them when they come in, feral male cats often have, if they were in a feral colony and they've come in and been socialized, they have those big puffy cheeks from not being neutered when they were young. It's often at the shelter also a cat who we've, tried lots of things and still, get ill quite often, those sorts of things, then we will go ahead and test them. I would say less than 5% of our cats in the shelter over the whole year get tested for it.
Yeah.
And now,
And like,
is it something that can also be transmitted from mom to babies? If mom is FIV positive?
It can be. Yeah.
they say it's
Is
rare
it
for
in-
females to be FI. I don't know how true this is, but I heard it's rare for the females to become FIV positive. You don't see it very often.
It's less because most females don't fight as much as males,
Yeah.
right? It has to do with that hormonal thing.
And- Like with my
I've been-
FIV, sorry.
I've been 10 years, I've seen one mom have it, and out of a litter of 6, 1 kitten got it.
Yeah.
So
So
Yeah.
Kathy, can you email, like, will you be emailing us this info
Yes.
sheet? And would that info sheet be something that would be in the adoption package for that cat? Because the person
Yes.
absolutely is going to ask us questions if we can have something to.
Probably, and that does make sense. So like Leo, now that would have been a discussion that Nicole would have already had with, I think it's Megan that's taken Leo, I think. So that would have been a comment there, but for us, and yeah, I think no information, good information and positive information. I think it's a great idea.
in the
Or even if we
past,
have it,
it's
people
been
can take a photo
posted.
of it.
In the past, it's been posted on the cage of the cat who has it.
Okay, makes sense.
And on the outside of the envelope,
Mhm.
Nicole usually writes, like if the cat's had a dental, if the cat is FIV positive, she usually writes it on the front of the envelope.
Okay, good to know.
Will there be copies then of this paper to put in the envelope, or will they come
Yes.
with a copy?
I will make copies and have them at PetSmart for us.
Okay.
And then everybody will get one tonight after the call.
Perfect.
Okay, any more questions? Good?
I have one question. Backtracking about the lysine, are we giving that to the PetSmart cats now?
Yes,
Kittens also?
yes.
Okay.
We did it last cycle because we went in early. So we were there actually the Friday, Saturday, Sunday prior. And then we realized, backtracked. And then we had the discussion, Carly and myself, and we talked with Susan and Nicole and decided we should be doing it at PetSmart as well. If we're doing it at the shelter, we should be doing it at PetSmart. So our staff for the last 2 weeks have been doing it.
And so Mel, we might not be aware of that because we're not on the shifts that feed.
Right.
Yeah.
I sometimes am. If I
Perfect.
take an extra
The
shift,
last-
I am.
Yeah, so we'll make sure there's a bottle that's there for everybody. Okay.
Okay.
And
But
there's
even kittens are coming from a foster home, though.
it's okay. We still gave it to them.
Yeah, I guess they're exposed to the cats that are in PetSmart.
Well, we didn't.
Okay.
So what happened last time was we stopped all the shelter cats coming in on the Sunday. We returned, I think, 2 back to the shelter. All the cages were cleaned on the Sunday night, and then Monday we brought in just strictly fosters, kittens for the 2 weeks. So we didn't have
Because you had
the shelter. because
an
the
upper
shelter-
respiratory from the shelter
Yes,
brought to PetSmart.
yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Okay, moving on. So, question for everybody, the schedule. So, can everybody see the schedule?
I can.
Can I get a thumbs up so I know?
I got a thumb up.
Okay. Mel, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'll send another email out because Kelsey, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure because we had a couple people that were not able to see it. So I sent them a private message and showed them different links of how to actually get on. So if we've solved that problem, then we'll continue doing what we're doing then. Okay.
It might be a setting issue.
Yeah, for sure. We go in PetSmart next week for the 2-week period. You're welcome to wear your Christmas sweaters for our cycle. we have the same kind of idea that we did for Halloween. We will have all the cats that are going into PetSmart that will have the pictures taken with a Christmas theme behind it. So we'll have those pictures that we can actually give out to the adopters of any of the cats. And then the kittens, we'll try and see if we can coordinate something. We can get some of the kittens done as well. So that's on behalf of Diane Green that took all the photos, and we'll take the Christmas photos as well.
Nice.
I did adopt out a cat that had one of those photos done around Halloween,
Yeah.
and the adopter really, really appreciated that.
Good, good.
They
Well,
did. They were really excited to have their little kitty with the pumpkins and everything around it.
yeah, we just did. We've set up 4 coming up on Thursday and Saturday. Correct, Carly? Yeah. And what I did was I reached out to the 3 people that were adopting, and I just happened to have the old photos, and I sent each one of them a photo. Well, it was like we sent them the gold. It was like, oh my God, we get these pictures, right? So they thought it was kind of cool. So kind of nice to see some, some feedback coming back. So that was good. So thank you. Furry friends, we have available, and I didn't know if everybody at PetSmart knew, we have t-shirts, sweatshirts, and quarter zips. And the 2025 calendar available. So if you haven't seen them and you haven't purchased this beautiful calendar, if you're interested in one, you can send me a text. I will grab them and I will have them at PetSmart for you to pick up next week. So 2025, I believe, how much are they? 20?
Yep.
20 bucks. You can have this beautiful cat for 20 bucks.
Can we sell those at PetSmart?
No, we're not allowed to. I already asked.
Oh, darn it.
I know. Kind of sucks. We're limited to what we can do there, but we'll figure it out. So if anybody would like one, please send me a text and I'll make sure that I grab you one and put your name on the side of it. So you've got it that's there.
Would people purchase through e-transfer, Kathy? Is that the best
Sure.
way? And just in the memo section, putting
Yeah, it'll be, you'll send it off to the shelter. You can do it through e-transfer or cash. Just let me know if you're interested and you would like one or you want 5. I think you need 5. You got 5 friends. Perfect. And then
I hate to cut you off there. I have to take off. I have to go pick up my kid at cadets.
You go. We're almost done. It's going to be, we're just going to do a Q&A right after this. Thank you for joining.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested in the t-shirts, sweatshirts, or quarter zips, you're more than welcome to purchase them. I'll get Logan to put a poster up on the website, and then we can go ahead and purchase those. Q&A. Any questions that we can answer? That we may not have answered for
I know,
you.
Kathy, just on your note, there was something about cupboards being stocked.
Yes. So that was daily. So when we're in there, just don't leave it for the morning people to stock the cupboards. Just make sure any product that you take out of PetSmart, it has to be counted for them. So make sure that we get those, just go back up to the cashier and get them to write them off for you and then put them in the cupboard.
Litter as well.
In the litter. So all of that that comes out of PetSmart has to be inventoried through PetSmart. So let's just make sure we do our share.
It has to be a manager to write it off.
Yeah. Yep.
And when we would go in like on Friday night, I would go and stock the cupboard for the weekend because I know it can get very busy. So when Friday used to be my shift when I was waiting for fosters arrive, I would go and get, if I knew lots of kittens, I'd get 12 cans and just stick them in the cupboard and make sure there was a full bag of food there because GTHS uses different stuff. So if it's left in the cupboard, it's fine.
Okay. Good point. Got a note. Got that, Carly?
Yep.
Kelsey? Okay. Any other questions that we can answer for anybody?
I didn't have a question, but an observation. For those little photo frames that we did for Halloween, I noticed that there was a film on both sides of the little clear part. So just a heads up, if you are giving them out, just to remember to take that off. You have to kind of unpackage the whole thing and do that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I get the pictures ahead of time this time, and then I can just do it before we actually go. So it'll depend on how many Diane's got done for Monday. So good point
Great.
though. I have some left over. We'll use those. Good.
So are you wanting the fosters to send you a picture like of the kitten?
Sure.
Okay.
That'll work. Yeah. So
That
my
sounded
next
very confident.
I was like, well, I'm not doing them. So I'm like, oh yeah, how did we do? Yeah. So if they can send me the picture, then I can flip it to Diane and then she can work with it.
Okay.
That will
Or
work.
if you give me Diane's email, I can
Even
send it
better.
to
I can
her.
do that for you.
Okay. I can't guarantee all fosters would send them because
That's
it's
okay.
sometimes hard.
Well, so I'll throw one at you. So would it be easier if I knew what cat? And did you want me to reach out or you're good?
I'm good. It doesn't matter who reaches out. Some just don't do it. So, and if anybody has any questions about the foster program, because a lot of cats come from that, they can always reach out to me. Foster right now is a little bit low, but usually we have close to 100 cats
You
in
try.
foster at any time. More
Do
than
they
the
just-
shelter
Or they're at
often.
Suzanne's house.
Exactly.
Do they just email the info email to request about being a foster?
If you want to be a foster, you fill out an application online. It's a
Okay,
separate
perfect.
application
Yeah, that's-
and it's open. Everybody, the other ones are closed, but foster is open.
Bring all the fosters you got. Tell your friends, your family, your great aunts, your great uncles, all of them.
Not too many because I can't make all the phone calls at the moment.
How many cats do you have, Suzanne?
Quick, is your husband away?
No, no. Oh, we're fostering for Suzanne.
Okay, Sherry,
Mhm.
you wanted to tap on something. I think it had to.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. I wanted to just throw out, it's not new, it's new again, an opportunity to help us in the adoption world. This is sort of PetSmart, the sequel. So assisting with adoption follow-up calls. So I know some of you on this call are already doing them and have been doing them for a long time. Thank you. The goal is, after we do adoptions, sometimes you're thinking like, gee, I hope everything's okay. How did everything work out? We have in the past had a small team of volunteers who make calls to adopters. It's like 5-minute max call. Have they changed the microchip info? Have they changed the cat's name? Is the cat eating, using the litter box? Some of those key things that we know sometimes come up that make people want to surrender their animal. So we are using this kind of as like a check-in, an opportunity to support, give some information and tips, some little cat hacks, especially for our first time cat owners. Usually they're really quick calls unless you get somebody who wants to tell you all about how much they love their cat, which feels really awesome. So if you're interested, I think it's the best volunteer role. You do it from home when you have time. It's really the happy ending to all of those steps that Kathy was talking about, the rescue, the shelter, the vet care, the this, the that, the PetSmart. They're stressed in their cage. They finally get home and you get to follow up to see how's everything going. So if you're interested, and I'll be sharing this with the rest of our PetSmart team, I know especially for some new folks, depending on what shift you're on, it might be a quiet shift. There might be ways you can sort of, multitask, use some of your time at PetSmart, or at home on the weekend in your pajamas with a bowl of popcorn and a glass of wine. Oh, did Suzanne just put her hand up for that, for the popcorn and the wine, or? Excellent. Thank you. I'll follow up with you, Suzanne. In fact, did you do them? Did we talk? We'll talk offline. Thank you. So if you want to think about it, let us know. You can message on the PetSmart chat and I'm happy to follow up with you. So thank you, Kathy.
Any other questions from anybody?
Just really a comment. I think part of the follow-up is also getting their, we always ask permission to get to send them an email, to put them on our mailing list for
The e-newsletter.
emails and our emails that, that we ask for donations from, right? To keep people, yes. So that's
Sue's one of our fabulous phone callers.
but what we should have it, at the very bottom, like you tick off the things, can we give Hills your email? Maybe there should be a box about furry friends too. That way we already have their consent. They're adopting, they've signed a contract, and we have their consent.
Yes, and I think there was some discussion about adding that
Yeah.
Piece there as well. It's just another opportunity.
Oh yeah, I know. We call
yeah,
nice, but I just think it should be on the contract.
yeah.
Okay,
It wouldn't be mandatory,
Real
but
estate contracts, that's what I do for a living. It's on there.
well, I took a note, so thank you. And
yeah, we'd
So-
have to stretch the margins and make it. But yeah, no, it's a good point.
What we can always do, we just instantly mark it to them. You're putting them in a database. It's just not, it's already there.
Yeah.
Consent has already been given. That's all.
Okay, any other questions? Other than I know everybody's looking at Suzanne and wanting to go to Mexico.
Alice.
Happy for others.
I know it. Okay, well, I wanted to say thank you to Sherry for hosting for us. Thank you to each and every one of you. You play a very important role in Petsmart. If it's not Petsmart, it's another spoke that we talked about, which I think is very important. Suzanne, thanks for being on the call tonight. We appreciate it. Carly, my sidekick. Katie, thanks for recruiting. Woohoo! And then each and every one of you guys, more importantly, that work at PetSmart, thank you. And thank you for being patient with me and allowing me to practice different things with you guys. And I appreciate all your feedback that you have. So thank you. And the call tonight will be sent out. Sherry will have that out to you.
Yes, thank you. I was trying to send hearts because thank you, Kathy, for taking over this big role. You've like doubled or tripled or quadrupled the size of the PetSmart team, which is a pretty nice thank you. See, everybody's showing off now with their floating heart. For folks who are with us during the COVID times, it looked a lot different and it feels like we're like just on a brand new horizon now. So thank you, Kathy and Carly.
You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. We're excited. Our goal, Carly and I talked about this when I first, I was a little nervous at first taking it over because it is time consuming. But I also know how much time and effort everybody else puts in to what they do. I cannot compare, don't want to compare. But I'm honored and I'm thrilled to take on this task. But more importantly, it's the people that you meet and the knowledge that each of you share. So, people coming from the volunteers that work at the shelter and then come to PetSmart, you bring so much more, but yet the volunteers coming from the outside in, this is where you have the ability to learn and you then will learn to adapt and you'll grow, Kelsey, and you'll grow in those areas very different for each of you. So it's beyond. I mean, there's so many different things that it's more than just furry friends. It goes from the fundraising to PetSmart, back and forth to shelter. So there's lots of different avenues that you can go down. You just can't leave PetSmart. But our goal is to increase the number of staff we have to make it easier. Monday nights we talked about, because of the intake of the cats, to have 2. Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays aren't as busy. If they pick up, then we'll add. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, our goal is to have 2 on staff, so that, and some of you may not be comfortable using the tablet. That's okay. You've got different avenues. So if you're good with cleaning the cat and doing the kitty litter and feeding the cats, the other person doesn't mind doing the tablet. So it'll work out one way or another. Okay, so don't fear any questions you have. That's what we're here for. Okay, so I wish you all a wonderful night. Anything else you want to finish up with, Sherry?
Goodness, no, just PJ time.
Yep, totally. So thank you very much. I apologize.
Kathy.
Have a great night.
Thanks,
Thank-
everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.